All right, I am here today with Meagan Hughes. How are you going, Meagan?
I'm good, babe. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I have been waiting to do this interview for almost 2 years. So I've been following along Meagan's journey and everything. She's in the same business that I am. Now, she spent 14 years in the beauty and wellness industry and built multiple successful businesses there. She was a salon owner, she's a Pilates studio owner, and a retreat facilitator. But motherhood revealed the true cost of burnout and building a life that looks successful while feeling really disconnected behind the scenes. So, one decision for Meagan, it just changed everything. So, a leverage business model gave her more freedom, it gave her more presence, and it gave her time with her family and a way to build without sacrificing her well-being. Now, Meagan helps other women redefine success through feminine leadership, wellness, wealth creation, and a life that feels as good as what it looks. Thank you, Meagan, for coming on today. Again, I'm really grateful for this moment. I've got four really intentional questions to ask of you to share with our audience. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Let's jump in, babe.
Amazing. All right. So, before this business, what did life actually look like for you, sort of financially and lifestyle wise? I understand you were a multiple business owner.
Yeah, so before I started, I had a business, I had a salon that was successful. On the outside, everyone looking in was really seeing that I'd built success. I had a family home that I'd invested in, and I got to a point where I was pregnant with my son. I was working huge hours. The money was always coming in, and I had good money and always have had money like behind me because I've always been a hard worker. But what I realized when I was growing my son, when I was pregnant with him, is that I had really created myself a job. I had a secure job, I had a business, I had staff that worked for me. However, if I wasn't there or if something went wrong in that salon, it was all on me. So I really felt like that I had a job. And when I was pregnant, this really became apparent because my body was struggling and I really needed to take time off. But yet, every part of me just kept pushing and saying yes because I knew I had bills to pay. I had overheads, I had staff to pay, and I really felt burnt out. I was in a lot of pain in the last trimester of my pregnancy. And I remember thinking, I have to stay here because how am I going to support my lifestyle and my children if I stop doing this, because it was all I ever knew. I was a hairdresser since I was 16. At this time I was 28 at the time, and I was sitting there thinking I don't know how to do anything else. It was the skill that I had. I was good at it and it brought me in income, but I really felt like when I stepped away, my income dropped and my salon was really sacrificed when I stepped away to look after myself.
12 years. That's a huge time to have a salon. That's such an achievement at such a young age.
Yeah, yeah, I was really young. I stepped into business. Yeah, from the get-go. I always wanted to work for myself, and I knew that I didn't want to be trapped in, working for someone else and being told what to do. I've always kind of pushed that boundary. And yeah, I kind of just got to a point where I was like, I actually don't think that this business can hold me in motherhood. And it was what I was building it for that whole time. I always had this dream to be a present mum. And I guess as a child, I was always taught that, you hustle and you build and you create a business to get your freedom. And what I've learned through my own experience is that, not every business gives you freedom. Not every business gives you the wealth that I like to talk about. And when I talk about wealth, I don't just mean money in the bank. I mean, like, do you have space to look after your body? Do you have space to move your body? Do you have space to, do a breath work because your body's needing it? Do you have space to go on a holiday because you desire to just be present with your family? And sometimes what I see is that a lot of business owners are saying no to all of that because there's an expectation and there's overheads. And so I soon realized that not every business is equal. And I wanted to create something that gave me more freedom, more flexibility, and more choice to wake up every day and actually ask myself, what is it that I need before I give out so freely to everybody else?
That's oh, it that I relate to that so much. Before I stepped into this, I was doing property management and I only shared this on my profile a couple of days ago. And I was saying how I took 4 weeks off when my mum passed away. And when I came back, the property manager I worked with was huge on you've put us so far behind. There'll be no lunch breaks, there'll be nothing for you now for the next couple of months till we catch up to where we were. 2 days later,
Mm,
I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm
yeah,
sorry, that's this, what you just said, the wealth. I didn't have the freedom to be able to do that. And
yeah,
now I'm creating it. So that's something that's huge in this business that I really appreciate you sharing.
yeah.
It's absolutely leading straight onto my next question. So, what made you decide there has to be another way and say yes to this particular business?
Yeah, so for me, I mean, some may not know, but this business really has a whole level that's really attached to health. And so one part of me was so unwell through the stress and the cortisol that I'd brought into my body through running a business that first and foremost, the product really caught my eye. And I was like, this could really support my health. And my mentor asked me if I was interested in looking at the business model. I didn't really know what she meant by that. But I'm always open, I'm always curious, I'm always open. I never shut things down. And I was like, sure, I'll have a look at the business model. I wasn't looking for anything at the time, but also, are we ever really looking or are we just following the next step? So I looked at it and I was like, okay, I never seen myself in, say, a network marketing company. I never imagined myself doing that. I also had a belief that I wasn't good at sales. However, I wanted the products. I wanted these things in my home to help and support my health after having my son. And I was also pregnant with my daughter. Um, and I was like, I need to get my health better. And that was one part. And then the second part, I was like, well, what have I got to lose if I just want to invest in my health? And then I also have a business model that I get to tap into that doesn't have overheads like my salon did, that I can do in the spaces around my children and see where it leads me. And so I really started with no expectation, but more a willingness to lean in, to learn, and to get my health so much better. I had an overactive thyroid at the time and I was so unwell. My hair was falling out. I was barely getting any sleep. And I was just like, my whole immune system was under attack. And I knew I needed to change something. So I studied Pilates in this time as well. I became a Pilates instructor. And I was like, maybe I'll open a studio. Maybe I'll, put all my heart and soul into that. And at the same time, this business really presented to me. And I was looking down the barrel of over $100,000 investing into a Pilates studio or $20,000 investing into this business and my health. And I was like, this is just a no-brainer because at the end of the day, I need to do this investment for my health. And then what ripples on from there, I'm just going to let happen with no attachment. And yeah, it wasn't until I actually dived in and I went to an event very soon after that one equation really changed my life. And one man really changed my life in that room where he shared this equation with me. And it made me realize that if I didn't say yes fully to this business and put more into it, I was saying yes to 1,200 days left with my family because I was saying yes to only having Sundays with them. And to me, it scared me more to miss out on my children's life and to miss out on building such a beautiful love story with my partner based on the fact that we were stuck in this system and that we were too scared to change anything. And so I really just lent in with my heart and I came in and built a brand that was all around what my beliefs are. And I really enjoyed it. And I also discovered who I was in that time of like, what am I a stand for? What do I want to share with this world? And, when we talk about legacy and wealth, I truly believe it's like legacy and wealth is like, what do you want to leave behind in this world? How do you want people to remember you? How do you want to be seen and experienced in this lifetime? And prior to this business, I wasn't being experienced the way I wanted to. I was constantly running. I was never present in a conversation. I was almost thinking about the next step or what I needed to do next, what bill I needed to pay, what I needed to do for my staff. And I was never actually present in a conversation. And so this business has just like done so much for my health and also for me as a person to like really live in alignment to who I am.
That was such a beautiful share. What you mentioned about presence with yourself, with your children, building the relationship with your husband. Like, it just sounds like you fell in love with life all again, even
Mm.
after you had built so much and accomplished so much, which is, I think, such a beautiful way to start a business. Like,
Mhm.
I can't think of anything better than, yeah, you just fell in love with life again and in abundance and just it all just flowed through to you.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
so really you've answered my next question, which is what has this business actually created for your life and your family? But if you were to narrow it down to maybe one or two big things, what would that be?
I think the biggest thing is presence with each other. And, it sort of gets me each time where I get really emotional that this is the biggest thing that I wanted to create for my children. It was presence from both of us, not just me. I think a lot of us think of a stay-at-home mum, but I truly believe children need their dads as well. And there are so many dads that are working huge hours and providing financially. And yet the dads don't have space to go to the gym, to look after their mental health, to show up for their little boys and little girls. Like, I truly believe that a household that has love and connection is how our children are raised in safe environments. So that was a really big thing for me. And I look around and, we went out on the boat on Wednesday, pulled the kids out of school. Thursday night, we were out on the boat till 9 o'clock watching the moon rise as we came in. And I'm like, this is the childhood that my kids deserve and what I wanted them to have. And that's been the biggest thing, is giving my kids like the most incredible childhood. And also for us having the memories, like that we just have the most incredible memories, because when I started this business, I remember I had no sales in my business. I had no evidence that it was going to work for me. And I came home from a conference and sold my house and got into a caravan, and we traveled for 18 months, and I just backed myself. I was like, of course, I'm going to make this work, because again, our belief systems and our patterns, what we think about is what becomes our reality. And I had no doubt in my mind that I wouldn't make it work. I was such a big stand behind the product. I was willing to put in the time and the effort that it takes to grow the business. And I showed up every day because of my why, which was my family and the connection I wanted to build. And that's been the biggest thing for us, is presence with each other.
I think that's a really important thing to share, because so many women, so many men as well are out there and they're working 50, 60 hours a week. I was one of them. I was working 60 hours a week in my previous role. And you think that you're providing for your family, but it wasn't until I was actually made redundant from that role that I
Mm.
realized how much time I had missed. Like my
Yes.
little girl, I lost 2 years with her, I think, because
Mhm.
I was working for
Yeah.
a private businessman, and you don't realize like that it's not the same. Like
Yeah.
it's just not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, this is like the other piece of like when you want to be really present, to be present, you need to have been present with yourself. You need to know what your truth is, what your needs are, how to fill your own cup, because there's one thing to be present and disconnected from yourself, and there's a whole nother ballpark when you're connected to yourself, connected to your partner, and then you connect with your children. They feel that.
They do.
And so it was also about building the space and the capacity for me to be like, I need to do Pilates every day. I want to have a sauna every day and read my book. I desire to do a breath work every day and look after internally my body. And then in turn, I also want to show up for my children. And I think that really we need to normalize that as adults and as parents, we also need space to just be humans. Like, we're all humans outside of being parents. And I think we all just give to our children and think that that's all it is. But it's also about being the best version of yourself. And that's what this business has created, space for me and my partner to be the best versions of ourselves and then show up really present for our children.
That's perfect. And that all can happen. What you just listed there, the breath work, the Pilates in the middle of the day, as well as building a business, being able to pay your bills and buy the organic food and do all that. It is possible. You don't have to. It's yeah. So Megan, for the girl that's actually, or the woman that's sitting there watching this, right, and looking at you, hearing what you have to say, listening to what we're sharing, and thinks, yep, she can do it, but it's just not possible for me. What would you
Mm.
say to her?
I'd say I used to be her. I used to be that woman that didn't believe I could do it. I remember I looked at this and I almost kind of was like, oh, if I can't make it work, at least I get the product. I remember thinking that in my mind. And yet, that was just a fear coming through, a belief pattern that I had watched other women that maybe didn't step into their power. And what will happen on this journey is you are going to get your spark back. You are going to fully find yourself and you are going to show up in the most aligned way. And that is a gift in itself. And so, yeah, you can be nervous, you can be scared, you can have fear. And also, it's when we lean into the discomfort that we grow. We don't grow in our comfort zone. And this will feel uncomfortable to move into a space that feels unfamiliar, but yet the familiar that you're settling for right now, if it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't light you up to jump out of bed and you're not excited to live your life every single day, even if it's a Monday to Friday or you're not on a holiday, if you're not in love with your life and you want to create change, then you have to be willing to do something different. Otherwise, you just anchor in to your current reality, which isn't even any better. And the worst thing that happens is that you stay doing that exact thing. The best thing that happens is you actually get the life that you desire by choosing something different.
I couldn't have finished that interview any better. Though that last sentence was just one of those mic drop moments that,
Mhm.
yeah, that having the opportunity to interview amazing women like yourself is something that I'm so blessed to do right now. And I know soon I'll be sitting on the other side of the room having someone do the same for me. And I can't wait to get there. So thank you so much, Meagan. Now, if anything that Meagan has shared with us today has resonated with you at all, I really want to invite you to join us inside the wealth frequency. So, this isn't a webinar, it's not a high pressure sales event. It's actually a beautiful 2-day immersion for women who know they're meant for more, but perhaps have forgotten how to dream beyond the responsibilities they've been carrying for so long, kids and life and different things like that. So, over 2 days, you'll hear from 6 incredible women, including Meagan, who have created wealth, freedom, and flexibility in a way that honors their health, their families, and their nervous systems. They'll share their mindset shifts, the lessons and business models that allowed them to create a different reality for themselves. Because that life that you're actually craving, it's not out of reach. Like Meagan said, you've just got to make the change. And you may not have just been shown that there is another way. So if you'd like to join us, I would be honored, and I know Meagan would too, and we'd all welcome you into the room. So I'll share some more information on that at the end of this interview. But thank you again. And
Thank you so much for having me.
you're absolutely welcome. Can't wait to see you in the next 2 days.
Yeah, you too, babe.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.